Kia ora team, welcome along to this week's coaching session. And I see Tanya's just joined us. Kia ora Tanya, welcome along. This week's is the second out of three strength-orientated presentations. How to periodise strength training for endurance athletes. So basically we're going to look at a simple four-phase framework to help runners, cyclists, triathletes, multi-sporters, kayakers, not just limited to the three that's listed there, get stronger, perform better, and stay injury-free. The first part of the series was done a few months ago now before I went on holiday, and looked at why and how we fit it into our training. So why would we periodise our strength training, not just go to the gym and do whatever we want? So primarily, as with all training, if we're periodising it, we're making taking the best opportunity to perform at our best at a future point. If we've got limited time, we've got limited options on what to do. But if we've got plenty of time, if we adjust our training as we make our way through, we can train to prepare for the next block, the next block, and the next block, so that we're at our optimum performance when we want to be at our optimum performance, which will be for our key event. So strength training should change and develop as our endurance training changes throughout the year. So we're adjusting the loads, adjusting the training stimulus, and developing things as we go through. There's different phases of strength training. We're going to develop different qualities from muscular endurance through to maximum strength and power. Now, the power we're talking about in a strength training construct is different from when we're talking about bike power. They're aligned, but we're talking more pure power in the strength environment as opposed to a sustained power for a duration. Functional threshold power, we're typically talking about 60 minutes, but we might also be talking about critical power for 5 minutes or another duration as well, including sometimes out to 3 hours if that's relevant for our event. Hey Gareth, welcome along. By following a structured progression, this is going to help us enhance our performance while also reducing our risk of injury. We want to try and stay injury-free, and as we get older, we become more prone and susceptible to injuries. And I can see a couple of the younger members of this group going, yeah, been there, done that. And as well, the periodization ensures that we're doing the right thing at the right time for our goals. If our goals are to run a mega long marathon, we're going to need the strength of the structures to support the repetitive use of those structures. So we're looking at knee joints, ankle joints, particularly if we're doing ultra marathons. If you're a swimmer, obviously we're looking at, particularly if it's a short duration swimming, 50 meters, 100 meters, or even 1500 meters is short duration compared to an ultra marathon. We want the strength of the structures so we can develop the force to propel us through the water. So the first phase, strength endurance. The goal here is to develop that strong foundation for our future training. And we typically do this aligned with, not necessarily exactly week to week, but aligned with our foundation and injury prevention phase in terms of our swim, bike, and run training. The goal is to improve our muscular endurance as well as our work capacity. How much can we lift and repeat it? It's not about how much we can lift in a single lift, it's how much we can lift and repeat. We're looking to strengthen the muscles, tendons, and the connective tissues. That's what I touched on before, using the ultramarathoner as the example, strengthening around the knee joint, strengthening around the ankle, etc. And for the swimmer, around the shoulder joint primarily. We want to focus on good technique and good control. If we're doing deadlifts, it's a two-phase movement. It's raising up and lowering down under control. You'll see a lot of CrossFitters and bodybuilders and gym junkies. They lift the weight and then they drop it. If you're lowering it under control, you're getting so much more out of the lift. So make sure we focus on that good movement technique as well as that control. In this phase, we're using lighter weights and we're using it with higher repetitions. And we're preparing our body for the heavier work that is coming in the next phase, the basic strength phase. We're using lifts of heavier loads where we're trying to develop that maximum strength. We're doing a lot lower number of repetitions, sort of 3 to 6, maybe 7 or 8 reps. Don't usually use 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 reps are typical in this phase, and using a heavier weight that we can't lift as often as in the previous phase. We're looking to improve the force production and the movement efficiency, as well as the signaling from the brain down to the muscles, whether those muscles are down in the legs, down in the arms, holding that core strong, etc. We're building the strength that we're not going to really use in an Ironman 70.3 or a cycle ride around Lake Taupo, but it's the strength that's underpinning our endurance performance. Without this strength, the endurance can sort of, or the strength endurance can fade. Well, not fade's the wrong word. We can't optimize it. The third phase, the phase 2 there, the basic strength, that's typically done aligned with, but not necessarily perfectly week 1 through to week whatever of the early quality phase. The specific power phase, we're lining that up roughly with the transition quality phase. This is where we're converting the strength we've developed in the previous phase into sport-specific movements. So cyclists, we're wanting to develop that pedaling in a circle. Squats, you're standing feet side by side. Now running, cycling, your feet are never side by side. They're always misorientated. One foot's forward, one foot's rearward, and then they're swapping over. So that's why you'll find a lot more lunges and multi-directional type exercises in this phase. We're also going to focus on fast explosive movements. Often we'll use no weight at all or a very light weight that we're trying to move very quickly. Examples include plyometrics, hill sprints, and power exercises. The total lifting volume is decreased and we're increasing that movement speed. And we're preparing our body for race day. And then prior to race day, when we get into the taper, we're moving into a strength maintenance phase. And this is where we're trying to maintain the gains we've got without loading our body up with fatigue that is then going to impact us on race day. The gym volume is going to decrease, but we're still going to maintain the intensity of the workout. Might be in the previous phases, 45 to 60 minutes in the gym, working solidly throughout. In this phase, it might only be 30 to 40 minutes, shorter sets, more rest, but maintaining the intensity of the previous phase. We want to minimize that fatigue, and we don't want to be leaving the weight room with a whole lot of muscle soreness. And if there's any muscle soreness, we want it to be short duration and in the early part of the phase, not near where our event is. And this is where we're prioritizing our race-specific endurance type training. So putting it all together, the off-season or the foundation injury prevention phase, that's where we're trying to build strength endurance. During the early quality phase, we're developing the basic strength. The transition quality phase, we're transitioning to specific power. And then during the race season or the final quality phase, we're focusing on strength maintenance as we're tapering off, leading to our event. We're trying to match our strength training to our endurance goals, not the other way around. Our endurance goals are the key. The strength training is supporting those goals. It's important at the end of each season to review and adjust the plan based on how everything's gone. Now, sometimes, depending on the duration of the plan, I might start with a build, a strength endurance phase, and then move to a basic strength phase before moving back for a second strength endurance phase, and then maybe a second basic strength before moving on to the strength power. Or if we do a second strength endurance, we might then jump straight to the specific power, depending on the duration of the build-up and what your strengths and areas to improve are, so we can have an individual focus depending on where that all needs to be put together. So some common strength training mistakes: doing the same gym program year in, year out, not changing anything, maybe lifting a heavier weight once in a while, just using the same 6 exercises, and then finish with a couple of core exercises, and then jumping on the exercise cycle for 5 minutes while you read the Woman's Day, and then go home. Doesn't cut it. Not when you've got a specific endurance goal that you're trying to achieve. The other option is usually males, and there's usually some ego involved, progressing too quickly and lifting too heavy too soon and getting injured or just simply burnt out and fatigued and losing any motivation and losing your gym-based mojo so you don't bother going back. And the other problem is having a really great strength training program through the first 3 phases and then totally ignoring strength training in the final phase, final quality, because you don't want too much fatigue. It's appropriate that we decrease it and manage it so you don't have that fatigue, but a lot of people will just totally drop it out of their program and then not get the benefit of what they've done for the months leading up to that point. So the key takeaways: make sure you prioritize strength training throughout the year. Don't just do it for the first 6 weeks and then ignore it, or do it up until when you get close to the event and then want nothing to do with the gym. Make sure you progress from strength endurance to basic strength, then into specific power if you've got time, and then strength maintenance. We need to maintain that strength with minimal fatigue leading into our main competition events, whether it's a series of races or whether it's one major event like an Ironman or a marathon. And it's important that you follow a structured training plan to maximize your endurance potential. That strength training plan is there to support your endurance training goals, not the other way around. Questions? We'll start with Harrison because you're at the top of the screen for me. I know Jason bet you on, but you're at the top of the screen, so I'll start with you and work our way down.
I don't have any questions on this topic.
Sweet. We will move on to you, Jason. And I saw you shaking your head before. He's still shaking his head. Tanya.
Hi. Same principles for men and for women, for younger and for older?
The big picture principles, yes.
Right. Okay.
Wait for the third presentation, where we dial into some of those details. We're only looking at big principles these first 2
cool
sessions.
Can't wait. Thanks.
Gareth.
I don't think I've got any specific questions about your presentation tonight. I assume, I guess this is kind of a question, but do the principles apply to sort of all sorts of strength work rather than gym-based strength work? Where I'm going with that is
Pilates, yoga,
yeah,
circuit training, weight room strength. Yes, they do. And in a nutshell, when you look at the strength endurance phase, something like Pilates is really great for that because you're not usually loading the body up with some weights. Reformer style, you are adding resistance, but we're using a different way of adding that resistance instead of using a dumbbell or a barbell or some other sort of weight. And you're repeating the movement over and over, but you're also holding the movement or holding the contraction for a long period of time in a lot of the Pilates-based movements. So that time you're holding those muscles under tension is important. So if you look at an exercise like a squat, where you're doing 15 repetitions, 3 seconds down, 3 seconds back up. So that's 6 seconds under tension for every rep. 15 reps, you're talking 60 to 90 seconds, depending on how precise those 3 seconds were. In a reformer or in a Pilates, just general, whether it's reformer or floor-based or whatever Pilates style, those movements, you can be holding one static position for a long period of time. You might only do 3 or 4 reps with some long holds that are potentially going to be more than 2 minutes total. So that time under tension is where we're getting the similarities as opposed to the number of repetitions. All right, seeing the big thumbs up there from Gareth. Any other questions? Let's move back through the room again, whether it's about this topic or about any other topics at all in relation to your training or racing. Harrison, back to you.
I've got a question about my training.
Yep.
With hill rep runs, what sort of hill are you expected those runs to be on?
So Tanya's going like this. Jason's going almost vertical. So it needs to be a moderate slope, sort of, and I can say 2 to 8%, and most people don't have any idea what 2 to 8% is going to look like. You want it to be something that you can look at it and go, there's a hill, a sort of a 1%, a 0.5%. It's a gradual slight incline, and you're looking at it and go, oh, I'm not sure if it's actually a false flat or whether it's flat. You want to look at it and think, that's a hill. You want to be able to maintain a steady clip as you're running up it. You don't want it to be so steep that you're basically grinding down and walking, hands on your thighs, literally lifting your quads up. You don't want it to be that steep. Basically, the example Jason gave of trying to indicate near vertical cliff face. So you want it to be something that's easily runnable and something that you can look at it and say, that's definitely a hill. The other important consideration is how long it lasts. If the repetitions are 5 minutes long, you want to be able to still be running uphill at that 5-minute mark. You don't want to be getting to the top, cresting at 4 minutes 30 and missing out on 30 seconds of the work. So what I typically advise people to do, if the intervals are 3 minutes or less, it needs to be a hill that's going to take at least 5 minutes to run up, because even if you have a really scorching day where your legs are literally on fire and you boost up that hill quicker than you've ever done before, you're unlikely to close in on the 5-minute mark with a 3-minute repetition. With the longer reps, you want a 10-minute hill at least. So you're not going to get to the top. You're just turning around, jogging back down to the bottom. Some sessions I'll say jog down for 2 minutes, or a set duration, 2 minutes up, 2 minutes down. Or it might be 1 minute up, 2 minutes down, when we're trying to give you a little bit more recovery. Just make sure you just keep jogging, and so at the end of that rest interval, you are back at the base of the hill, you're back at the start position. If you haven't got all the way back down because you're taking it very easy on that rest interval, that's fine. Just turn at that point and run back up. Other hill rep sessions, I say just run to the bottom. And whether, say it's 2 minutes uphill interval, it might take you 90 seconds to jog back down. When you get back to the bottom, turn and go back up. It might take you 3 minutes. However long it takes is how long it takes. So keep an eye on the description in those workouts for those subtle differences.
Yep, okay.
Any other questions?
No, I think that's good. I think that's it for me.
Perfect. Good question, by the way. Jason.
I'll agree with that. That's a good question. That was something I think I asked really early on in my hill running days. No, nothing from me. Other than the observation is, should I have some strength training in my program?
Go back to the episode 2 ago. It's, do you have time, and what are the priorities for your program is the key answer to that.
I'm here for that.
The big picture of it, without sitting down and nutting out the details, and we can do that offline in a one-on-one situation.
Okay, sweet. All good.
Sweet. Moving on to you, Tanya.
Yep. I have 2 questions. How come on Strava some people route that they are taking when they run or bike is actually showing as a little squiggly line moving now, and others are static? How do you make the squiggly line move?
Pay for the premium.
Oh, really? No,
Yep.
I want to be cheap and stay with the free one.
Then just have a static line.
Oh, damn. Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, but when I've looked at people that have got the line that moves and shows the direction of travel, they have been premium. So I suspect that's the difference. I don't know definitively.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
But
that
it
makes sense.
it-
Okay. And my second question is, how do I choose a power meter for my bike?
Talk to someone who knows a bit about power meters. Now, the best person in the world to talk to is a guy called Ray, but it's not me.
Oh, okay.
DC Rainmaker. Ray Maker, and he's from District of Columbia, but he's living in Major, one of those Canary Islands, I think.
Really?
Spanish ones. Yeah. He is the absolute guru.
Mm.
Go to dcrainmaker.com and read up everything he's got. But
Okay.
to make a long story short and save you all the reading, it's probably going to be I'm not even going to be able to pronounce it. Starts with F. And
Favero.
Favero, that's them. That's how you say it. He's always rating them the best value for money and
Wow.
best. They're in line with accuracy with Garmin
Okay.
and other brands as well. So
How do you spell it?
you've got a pair, haven't you, Gareth?
I do. I'll put a message in the chat for you, Tanya.
Oh, thank you.
And there's a few other people that do online reviews. GP Lama, who is an Aussie, he's actually released a YouTube video just a couple of days ago about the latest upgrade to those pedals, and another guy called Desfit. If
Cool.
three of them don't rate it, don't buy it, but I can assure you all three of them do rate those pedals.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
You're welcome. Gareth.
No questions from me.
Great. Well, let's wrap things up. I'll look forward to riding with you all again soon on Velocity. And I won't be there live on Tuesday. Unfortunately, I was planning on it, but I've got some other commitments that are starting early in the morning. So I won't be there, but rest assured there will be a session. And there's something else I was going to say. No, escapes me. Can't have been important. So have a fantastic evening.
Thanks, Ray.
Ka kite anō, and
Ka kite.
I'll see you Thursday for Velocity.
Thank you.
See ya.
You're welcome.